In today's Leeds news, Farke to speak to Gilavogi, Player of the Month, new partnerships and more detail on Leeds reshuffle. Morning folks, Jay here on Wednesday morning the 13th of November with your Leeds United news. Hope you're having a good week so far. We did a bit of a review of the month last night with James from Not Another Leeds podcast and the Leeds House podcast, as well as Jerry McNamee and Luke from the Orton No Better podcast. You can check that out at the end of the video if you want to. Just a look back at the entire month and a conversation around where everyone's head's at and all the noise around the style of football and everything else. So you can check that out if you want to. There's a bit of stuff floating around today around Daniel Farke's reactions to Gilavogi's performance against QPR. Not everything he wanted, as well as some very key partnership deals and an insight into what's going on in the reshuffle behind the scenes at Leeds United, which means another person may be on the way out of the club. We'll start off with Daniel Farke to speak to Joshua Gilavogi, and it's pretty much universal that every Leeds United fan was delighted with the performance that Joshua Gilavogi put in when he came onto the park against Queen's Park Rangers. Gilavogi and Isaac Schmidt, when they came on, helped to lift the tempo of the game and helped Leeds strive towards getting a second goal and putting the game beyond any doubt against the bottom of the league side QPR. But not everyone was overly happy with every aspect of the game, and as covered by Baron Cross in Leeds Live, Daniel Farke plans to speak to Joshua Gilavogi about going slightly off script in one area. Farke describes Gilavogi's appearance as coming on to be Claude Makelele, but turning into prime Zidane, something he will want to speak to him about after telling him not to do it. Gilavogi came on at 1-0 and the instructions were from Daniel Farke, in his own words, were to see the game out. And Gilavogi had slightly other ideas around this. Speaking on the situation, Farke said the following: "If I'm honest, I was even a bit surprised because I told him, listen, we see the game out, you hold the centre. The plan was more or less play him like Makelele, but he played a bit more like Zidane, also with great skill." Farke did go on to talk about the fact that he does trust the player to do a little bit more should it be needed in games, but will plan to speak to him about certain aspects of the performance. Farke said, "I also trust him if he gets the feeling that he can do this during the game, and I will allow this, although I will also have a word with him in the next days to make sure that we don't overdo this. I'm happy to have him, especially for this situation, to see games out." Daniel Farke's view of Gilavogi is very clearly, when he comes onto the park, whatever the scoreline is, that is the scoreline to finish, to see the match out as it is, to manage the game out. Gilavogi went slightly outside that brief, and I'm excited about what I saw from him. I think everybody else is. I understand Daniel Farke just wants to make sure that we don't throw games away in that situation, but against the bottom side of the division at home, you should be a little bit more ambitious than that. But Gilavogi made a very strong impression. I just hope that doesn't take the fun out of the performance, because that's the bit that everyone gets to love about these players, is the fun. So as long as he can still enjoy the football, because I think everybody is enjoying what they're seeing from Joshua Gilavogi right now, even in the small doses that we're getting from him right now. And a player, I think, if we see come onto the park, we can all trust that everything will be fine before the game finishes. So all good there. Moving on to players that had an absolutely cracking month for Leeds United, and Leeds have announced their Player of the Month award for October, and to absolutely nobody's surprise, Ao Tanaka, the Japanese international, has picked up that award. He took the award with 54% of the fans' vote, which is an incredible number considering the amount of players involved in this. But he started every game in October and managed to win 23 duels in that time. But his passing is the big stat that everyone likes, and he completed 91% of his total passes, which is a really good number because of the volume of passes that he gets through in a game as well. He's been fantastic for Leeds, and we hope that when he goes off to play for Japan now for the international break, he will come back in one piece, because he is going to be a massively important player for Leeds United. Came in to add competition to Gruev and Ampadu, and I think when both of them are back, it'll be hard to shift Tanaka from that side completely, because of what he really has offered for Leeds United in the last couple of months. So great to see so far. Long may that continue with him. Moving on to the new partnership that's been announced yesterday by Leeds United, and there's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes over the last 18 months from the 49ers enterprises, and the 49ers merchandise and marketing machine has very much started to go into full operation. Leeds try to increase the global brand of the club and the awareness of the club. Also try and bring in some more revenue along the way if they can. Yesterday, Leeds confirmed the latest big name partnership to be associated with the club, and it might be something that pleases American and Canadian fans, or fans in general outside of the UK. Leeds have partnered with sports merchandise provider Fanatics in a deal that Leeds say will enhance the retail experience for Leeds fans both in the city and across the world. For those who don't know about Fanatics, they are an international digital sports platform who specialise in replica sports merchandise and will become Leeds' exclusive operator for the online store as well as the Leeds physical retail stores in Leeds from the summer of 2025. Outside of the Adidas portfolio that they will look after, they will also have the rights to manufacture a wide variety of fan wear and accessories. And if you look at the stuff that they do with the NFL and the NBA and the NHL, you might start to see a fleshing out of the Leeds range of clothing and apparel that currently is restricted within the Leeds United store. They can only hold so much stock in Leeds. Fanatics being a global brand and a massive warehousing brand means they might be able to create and hold more stock for Leeds. This may also be a really good move for fans outside of the UK, because since Brexit happened, buying a Leeds United shirt, even in Ireland, once you add on the excise duty and the postage, goes into the hundreds of euros. If you're in America and Canada, that gets even higher again, and it can be an incredibly expensive job to try and buy a shirt. And if Leeds want to increase their reach of the brand around the world over the next couple of years, making it affordable for people in other countries to buy their shirts will be something that they will very much have to look at, and that might be what the partnership with Fanatics helps to bring Leeds United. They've been around for a while. Go check out their stuff online. If you're a US sports fan as well, they've got some fantastic merchandise, and it's great to see what they might potentially start to do with Leeds United, and like, we're excited about that. But the big one is more revenue for Leeds United on the back of the Adidas deal as well. So all good stuff happening off the pitch. And then moving on to other stuff that's going on behind the scenes at the club, and probably a bigger story today is the reshuffle behind the scenes at the recruitment department, which isn't finished just yet. Over the past week or so, we've heard all the detail around the reshuffle behind the scenes, with Greta Steinson now being promoted into the 49ers global technical director role and moving away from his technical director role at Leeds. And we've seen Jordan Miles leave the club completely, and on the back of that we saw the promotion of Alex Davies into the head of recruitment role from inside Leeds United, which is seen as a very positive move internally. But now, thanks to Baron Cross in Leeds Live, we've gotten a bit more information on another person who may be about to leave the club, and one that I'm a little bit disappointed with and a little bit surprised at, if I'm honest. I thought that when the moves happened, we might see Nick Hammond's consultancy role turn into a more permanent role at the club. But now, according to this piece from Baron Cross, it states that Nick Hammond will now begin to reduce his hours spent working on Leeds United, and in the meantime will continue to work with Adam Underwood to help with the transition during this period of time. Hammond coming into Leeds United when he did last year was a very important signing for Leeds United. He'd oversaw some very smart signings in the first season at Leeds and helped to stabilise the ship and give Daniel Farke a side that could go and compete within the Championship to try and get automatic promotion. He was the man behind a lot of very smart signings just before Newcastle's takeover a couple of years ago, and he's been a very important person behind the scenes for Leeds United, and a man personally I think is a bit of a loss for him to leave Leeds United. He's not gone just yet, but he is reducing his hours at the club in his consultancy role, and it looks like Nick Hammond will move on to other ventures after Leeds United, which is a big disappointment for me. I'm sure Leeds have tried to keep the guy. He would have been a very smart man to keep at the club. He's been very important in the transfer window so far, and the signs that Leeds have brought in, not only the quality of players they brought in, but the value and the money they've spent, have been very smart and very shrewd business, and for me Nick Hammond is very much a part of that. So we'll see what that's going to look like. Maybe Leeds just don't need as many senior people in the club. Maybe the structure has been built behind the scenes now and they just have a team there and a couple of managers. Maybe they don't need to have all these people anymore. We'll have to find out. But at Brighton, Hove Albion also managed to slash their recruitment team in the last couple of weeks as well, by announcing their page yesterday. So something's going on in the recruitment world. Maybe it's AI, meaning they don't need to have as many people doing this, but when it comes to scouting football and talent, human eye is always better than an AI for my take. But we'll have to see what happens. But it's a big shuffle. It's a big movement big moves going on behind the scenes, and we'll have to see what happens into January, and if it impacts January, and then maybe again the bigger one, which will be the summer next year. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Thanks as always for supporting the channel and watching the content. You can check out last night's review of the month of October so far with the lads, and I'll be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you soon. See ya.